Hello, beautiful people. I'm Chris Maddox, founder of the Wild Woman Project and Wild Woman Fest. And I'm speaking to you today because we always meet like this at new moon time. And the new moon is upon us. It arrives on November 4th, 2021, which begins a moon cycle that will complete, depending upon your time zone, on December 3rd, December 4th. So that's 29 and a half day, a window. And every time we have the opportunity to walk from one moon cycle into the next, that threshold, that dark moon time, can be a time of retreat, reflection, and certainly intention setting. So here at the Wild Woman Project, we make a really big deal out of new moons. We have new moon circles happening all over the world and online and in person. And this year, we are holding a theme called Path of the Poets, where each and every new moon, we will explore a new poem written by a wild woman poet. And we'll see what we can learn and feel and understand by really listening to the poem and to the perspective of the poet. So this moon cycle, this new moon, we start with a poem called On the Pink Moon by Ada Limón. And it comes from her collection, The Carrying, which is beautiful, highly recommend. I believe it's her 5th collection. And so the way we're going to do this is I'm going to read the poem to you once. And I suggest that you just let the imagery, let the words, let the feel of the poem wash over you. See what emerges, what you, some of us are more visual, so we might see the imagery. Some of us are more sort of kinesthetic. We might feel in our body and our energy. There's a ton of ways to experience a poem. So we'll walk through it, and then we'll walk through it once. I'll read it to you, and then we'll kind of move through it step by step to see what we can learn. On a Pink Moon. I take out my anger and lay its shadow on the stone I rolled over what broke me. I plant 3 seeds as a spell. 1 for what will grow like air around us. 1 for what will nourish and feed. 1 for what will cling and remind me we are the weeds. So that last line, we are the weeds, is the name of our cycle here at the Wild Woman Project. So that sort of embodies where she ends up. So let's walk through this together now. One of the things I really appreciate about Ada Limón's poetry, as I understand it, and I only have one of her collections and I'm looking to get more. But what I noticed in many of the poems that I read is it seems like her poems happen at the intersection of the wild and of civilization. Like there's a lot of nature honoring and imagery in her poems. And then there's, the civilized world and the meeting place there, that area where those two worlds intersect is really, where we modern wild women live. And there's a complexity in it and a dynamism in it. And there's a pain in it as well as a beauty and an artfulness. There's so much at that place where civilization and the wild meet, and there's a reckoning of those forces. So I wanted to name that because I feel like that this poem lives in that space. Now, it's so important to say that art and poetry is subjective. What I see and what I get from it may be different than what you get from it. And that's the magic, like that's the good stuff. So I'll offer some of the things that I see, but I offer it with a lot of space around it for you to see and feel what you see. So she starts with this first piece, which is, I take out my anger and lay its shadow on the stone I rolled over what broke me. So my goodness, has she said a lot in one, like there's one period in that and there's 4 lines there. So it's clear that at some point something, she says, broke her, and that she rolled a stone over it. She rolled a stone over what broke her. And I just have this big question. It's like an open question. How did that stone come to be on top of what broke her? My immediate vision when I read it was like it was a big boulder kind of stone, and that she had pushed it with all her might, pushed that stone over what broke her. Form of, like, is it revenge? Is it a way of burying it? Is it both? What is it? So that's sort of the question, like what happened there? But something broke her. She rolled a stone over it. But the first piece is that she takes, let me make sure I get this wording right. I take out my anger. So you can actually like take out my anger and lay its shadow on the stone. So she takes out her anger, the shadow of her anger, and she lays it out on this stone. And there's something there that begs the question, like, where does our anger go? Are we aware of our anger's shadows? What are the shadows of our anger? What are the shadows of our anger? What do we do with our anger? And in this case, she's laying it out on the stone. I'm sort of seeing this like, like on the pink moon. That's a full moon in the springtime. And it's like essentially like out in the light. And I think there's something very powerful and important about that, recognizing our shadows, recognizing that there's stuff going on underneath the surface of maybe our conscious awareness, unresolved anger, trauma, et cetera, et cetera. There is a tremendous power in being able to look at our shadows, in the shadows of our shadows of our shadows, and to not run away, to be brave, to realize that it's part of the human condition. It's part of life on earth. It's not all light and rainbows and positive, right? Whatever that means. But just like we have day and we have night, just like we have summer and we have winter, we have birth and we have death. Life is full of so much. And some of that exists in a more shadowy place. And one of the things I always think about the wild woman archetype is that the wild woman archetype is not afraid of the dark. I see like all the lunar creatures that go out at night and they can see in the dark. I think wild women are the same. And there's a courage that that takes and a resilience that forms over doing that again and again. It's a way of knowing ourselves and all of the parts of ourselves. And the shadow is not our whole self, it is a part of ourself. So we have shadows in our personal experience, we have shadows in our collective experience. And here Limón is saying, I took out my anger and laid its shadow on the stone. On the stone, I rolled over what broke me. So there's something that's like brave and powerful and resilient. You know, I'm sure that each and every one of us in our own ways can relate to something in our life, whether it's an event or otherwise, that broke us. And she's not broken. She's not currently broken. But like, you know, we have experiences in life that shatter our expectations or shatter who we thought we were. And if we stay with the process, you know, like the leaves that are falling off the trees around here, you know, in the northern hemisphere where it's fall, you know, if we can stay with the process that the leaves fall down into the mud and they get decomposed and they go back into the soil and they become part of the soil, and then in the spring that soil has new life. So if we can stay with the whole process and not give up and not be scared of the winter, not be scared of the death, we will again see a rising. And so there's a tremendous like resilience in this first chunk of the poem and courage, I think. So now she says, I plant 3 seeds as a spell. I plant 3 seeds as a spell. The first one for what will grow like air around us. So one that will, it's like, I think of this one like, it'll be ubiquitous. It'll be everywhere. It'll be the air we breathe. She plants a second seed for what will nourish and feed. What will nourish and feed. So that's different. The first one's sort of like up and around, and the second one's like in and down, nourish and feed. 1 for what will cling and remind me we are the weeds. So this one is like clinging to her. I see it almost like a vine that clings and reminds me who I am, who I really am. And I love, we are the weeds. I feel like that could easily be, we are the wild. So she wants that last seed to, whatever it is that she's planting, that it cling to her and to remind her always who she actually is. So I want to offer a couple of things for you to think about and to journal about specifically on this new moon. So you might ask yourself, you know, what is the shadow of my anger, if you have anger? And if you have a pulse, I'd be surprised if you don't have a little anger in there. What does the shadow look like, feel like, live like in you? Second, what are the seeds that you want to plant? And you can use Limon's framework here. So You can write 1 for what will grow like air all around us, and like write whatever that is. Truth as an example. A truth will grow like air all around us, and it will be the second. You can use again the second line using her framework. 1 for what will nourish and feed. So asking yourself, what do you need to sustain yourself? Is it food? Is it money? Is it a home? Is it something more like emotional and compassion? Could be anything. And then the third piece in your journal, 1 for what will cling and remind me we are the weeds. So, what is the one thing that could cling, that you want to cling to you, that you want to be never away from you, that you want to like wrap around your body and your consciousness to remind you who you are in your wildest nature, deep down in the soul of who you are? My one for this is joy. I want to plant a seed of joy so it will cling to me and remind me who I am deep down in my soul. So, what's yours? What's true for you? So, these journaling prompts become a kind of intention, become a kind of like spell work, like she says, she's planting these seeds as a spell, but you can feel free to add any other sort of ritual-y elements to it. And if you want to explore this in a circle, Wild Woman Project circles are happening all over. There are many that are happening online. So I'll put a link below this video to find one near you. I'll also put a link to find the telecircles, so the ones that are happening online that you can tune into. And in circle, you can expect guided meditation, you can expect sharing, you can expect intention setting. So many of our circles, but not all of them, will be holding this theme. Yeah. So 2 more things that are coming up that I want you to know about and invite you to. So we kicked off Wild Woman School just a couple of weeks ago, where this year, the year ahead of Wild Woman School, like a fall to fall, we are exploring tools, specific tools each and every time for spiritual autonomy, resilience, and creativity. And the next one, the title of it is Grounding Journaling Practices for Resilience and Creativity. So journaling is something I've done since I'm a little girl, and it's an enormous part of how I attune to my inner guidance and map my life with a lot of intention. So all levels of experience are welcome here. We're really going to tune into the Wild Woman archetype. I'm going to offer you different ways to think about journaling, different specific prompts and orientations and practices. So you'll really walk out with like a little bundle under your arm of ideas to really either begin your journaling practice or deepen your journaling practice. That's going to be on November 30th. You can join us online from anywhere. It's choose your own price, and there are scholarships available. Link below this video. And just looking for, we're in fall, but the next season is winter. And in the winter, we will do our second round of immersion. So that's a 4-week adventure to warm your soul and to sort of tune into the visionary spirit of winter. So I'll be talking more about that in the months ahead, but I'll put a link below this video and you can check out a little bit about what it's about and sign up for email updates for that, because it's going to be amazing this winter. I can't wait. Okay, my dears, I am wishing you a moon cycle wherein you are not afraid of the dark, the shadow inside of yourself and the shadow in the outside world, that you can be clear-eyed and centered, that you can be intentional, like Ada Limón is, like planting her seeds with intention. One, for what will grow like air around us. One, for what will nourish and feed. One, for what will cling and remind me we are the we.